Okay, folks, welcome to the ACY studio here at our headquarters in Sydney, Australia. So if you're from around the world, welcome. If you're from Australia, great to see you here, etc. My name is Nathan Bray. So I will be your host this evening. I'm one of the senior account managers and trading mentors here at ACY. Look, I've traded markets with more of a technical perspective for well over 15 years. So I'm happy to be hosting the Quick Start webinar for you this evening. And just as we've got a few more people joining us, just so that let's put it in a nutshell here. Let's say, what is Quick Start? So Quick Start, folks, it's a trading strategy, okay, that is put together to allow people who are very new to trading currencies or trading indices to be able to get started. And it's an intraday, short-term type of approach strategy. So it allows you to find opportunities perhaps on a daily basis and perhaps multiple opportunities as well. And it allows you to go through and use an actual strategy, because originally we used it like a golf range. It was a chance for people to just hit lots of balls, gain some experience, gain some knowledge, all that kind of thing, and get started with their trading so that they can worry about the more important thing is, what do I do once I'm in a trade? Now that I can isolate a potential trade I want to take, okay, and then I can narrow that field down to just a couple and then select one. What do I do once I'm in it? So that for me is really what trading is all about. It's once you're in that you now need to consider, where is my stop loss going to go? Where is my take profit? What things could happen in the market that might make me change my decisions? Okay, those sorts of things I think is where trading's really at. And Quick Start was designed to take away and make it simple to execute a strategy. But what we found was, a lot of the time people start trading and they're not really following a strategy. They might be a bit hit and miss. They might be sort of not really strictly following a strategy. So Quick Start then became popular for people who did do some trading and did have some knowledge to be able to turn around now and say, all right, I'm going to take it seriously. Okay, a bit like hitting those golf balls. I'm going to keep my head down this time. I'm not just going to try and get it up in the air and get excited or that kind of thing. So it's for people that are either brand new or looking to start to refine their trading techniques and get into the rhythm of isolating trading opportunities and go from there.
That we've got set up and available to all our registered clients. Remember, it's free to register, and there will be a link in the description below. Not only that, we'll set up your platform with this brand new Quick Start trading strategy. So it really allows you to get in, even if you're an intermediate trader, you've traded before, it gives you a good refresh to get you to follow one of the key elements in technical trading, which is following a strategy and making sure you stick to it. Now, for beginners, it's ideal because it really gives you an easy way to start looking and making sure that you're trading in line with a longer term trend, but also making sure you get agreement with the shorter trend and entering on a breakout. It even assists you where you might choose to put your stop loss so you can manage your trade as well.
Okay, so that's what we've got to go through tonight. Keep in mind, as I mentioned, everything we're going to show you, we're not charging. Anything you see here is available free for all our registered clients here at ACY. Free to register, no obligation to trade. So I just want to get that out of the way. And I guess from there, tonight I'll show you Quick Start. We'll learn a few basic things about trading. We'll answer your questions, of course, at the end. So feel free. You can start typing any questions you might have in, but I'll get to them as I go. And then we'll go live into the market and check it out. So let's get started. I'll get rid of my ugly mug and let's share my screen for you now. So I'm just going to show you this quick introduction. So we're going to be starting off and having a look at saying why trading with a trend is important, because Quick Start, folks, is a trend following strategy, okay? And also, therefore, we need to have a bit of an idea of how to identify the trend, okay? Because we want to trade with the trend is your friend. So we'll explain that in a couple of minutes, and then we'll get in and we'll look at using quick start strategy as a trend following strategy from there. So that way, everybody, regardless of your level of experience, you're completely au fait with what we're doing. From there, I'll go through and we'll go live and we'll do a demonstration. We'll check out the market live right now and we'll go through perhaps 12 different options and see if there's any setups that have occurred in the last hour or two or three, or if anything potentially might set up in the next hour or two or three, right? So that's sort of our plan. And then I'm showing you, I guess, the way you would use this on a daily basis, okay? Then what we'll do is once we've looked at quick start and understood how it works, we'll have a look at just a couple of key principles of saying, okay, now I'm using a strategy to enter, what might be a few key principles I might use? And then to wrap it up, I'll show you from quick start as a pretty basic strategy and then show you how it layers. So we do have a whole bunch of more complex and different types of intraday trading strategies that are also available free for you as well. Now, if you have any questions, folks, there's my email there. So it's nathan.bray@acy.com. All right, so let's keep going. So tonight, folks, let me just show you, this is a risk disclaimer. Now, keep in mind, I won't be providing any personal trading advice. So I'm not going to be sitting here tonight saying, oh, wow, you should buy this or you should sell that. We will just be providing general information, really, and explaining this particular strategy. Okay, if you do have questions about the markets, feel free. When you do register your live account, okay, your free live account, your account manager will also contact you and they'll assist you in setting up your platform to look exactly the same as mine is today with the quick start. They'll also provide you the training as well. All right, so let's go in. So this is what it'll look like. So what you're seeing on your screen here. So all I want you to go down is to the bottom of the screen. The entire quick start strategy, you just look at one chart. It's an hourly chart, okay? So obviously you're going to have 24 perhaps of those a day, okay? Each candle is 1 hour. So you'll see down the bottom where I've circled in red like a kindergarten child, I guess. The daily trend, it's very easy to identify what your daily trend is. And it literally tells you just by saying it's either green or red. So you just look at that. But before we do that, let me just, I'm assuming everybody can see my chart here, okay. I just want to touch on and spend a couple of moments in allowing us to understand what do I mean by trend. So what I'm looking at here is a chart. So this is the US dollar yen, okay. So dollar yen here is, you can see it's basically each candle is 1 day. So we're on a daily chart, okay? And as we can see, I'm looking at price down the bottom here. And suddenly price, another day, it starts to put in what we call a higher top. So with a trend, what we're looking for, perhaps it's an uptrend. We're looking at seeing price actually puts in a number of higher tops here, and then it pulls all the way back, and then it puts in perhaps a higher bottom. Okay, so that's the nature of trend. What we're saying is, and I'll use Sydney examples here. If you're saying, you know, people are paying $500,000 for a house, okay, someone was bidding 300, but they didn't get it, and then suddenly they're paying 600 and 700, and then when the market pulls back a bit, it goes back down to only 400. So you're in this environment where you're actually getting an idea of what the market is willing to pay, okay, or sell on a particular instrument. And that's what we mean by trend. So in this case here, you'll notice that price shoots up over a number of days. Then you get a bit of a sell-off because remember, nothing's going to move up and down in a straight line. However, the bottom point that it comes down to is higher than the previous bottom point here. Okay, and then what happens, we put in a higher high than the previous high. So we've got higher high, higher low. Pretty straightforward, and you can see price continues to move higher And then all of a sudden we get a low point here. And what happens here? Well, that is actually far higher than the previous low, etc. And then we put in right now, we're getting very close to putting in another higher high. So what we're suggesting on this daily, looking at this dollar yen, is we're trading in line with the trend. The trend is your friend. And often the trend can last a lot longer than you expect. Okay, so we're identifying that is an example of an uptrend. Okay, but let's also consider the idea that you could have a downtrend. So what we're doing with Quick Start is we're saying we want to have a bias, or we want to trade in line with the power or trend of the market. So if I now go towards, say, the Aussie dollar, same thing, we're looking on a daily chart here. We can see this big double top up here, up around this 69 level, but you can see over the last few weeks, okay, the Aussie dollar has been in what we call a downtrend. How do we determine that? Well, we get a sell-off and suddenly the higher point, it's lower than the previous high. You'll see these here. And then this bottom gets taken out and now we've got lower top, lower bottom. So that's how we're identifying it, okay? So, and that's what I mean when I'm saying trend. And as you can see here, after the interest rate announcement was put on hold or paused or left as it is here in Australia today, we had a huge sell-off. And guess what? It's in line with the recent trend, okay? So if you're looking to trade in line on the short side or looking to sell the Aussie dollar, then the trend was already in place. What's happened today, this candle here, yes, it's dramatic, but if we were trend traders, we were already in line with this, okay? Because we're listening to what the market's telling us, and what the market can tell us is to do with price, okay? And that's how we're determining the direction. So trend is really important. And as you can see, trend, who knows? Trend could overextend the levels that you thought it could go in. I mean, we look at the Aussie dollar, 69 down into the 63s, okay, in a pretty short number of weeks. So trading in line with that daily trend right now could have been quite profitable. The question then becomes, how do I identify my entries? So what I'm going to do now is show you the this quick start and how it allows you to do that all on one screen. So what you're going to have on your screen, I'll show you this very quickly and then we'll jump in live into the market. So you look down the bottom of your screen here and you'll see where it's circled. These candles along the bottom, this is your daily trend. So what we're going to do is just identify the daily trend without having to go look at the chart, look at higher tops, lower bottoms, all that kind of thing. We can just look at this candle and whatever color it is. So if it's green, that means the daily trend is up. That's simple. This is an hourly chart. Each candle now is an hourly. That's all you've got to look at. From there, we move on and we say, okay, I've identified the daily trend is up. And then I look at the candles above. And what this is telling us the trend on the hourly. Okay, so we're looking to match the daily with the hourly. So if I go to the next, there you'll see it there, I can see they match. I can look at that and say, okay, the daily is green and now the hourly is green. And the reason being that, as I mentioned, nothing's in a trend is going to go in a straight line. So you're going to end up where price is going up, but there'll be periods where it pulls back. So that's why we use the hourly. We're sort of wanting, as the hourly turns red, we sort of want to stay out of it. You'll see over here in the middle where it all turns red. And maybe it's profit taking, maybe there's some news coming out, who knows? But either way, the price is pulling back. So we want it to pull back in line with the hourly. And then once the hourly then turns green and matches the daily, then we could look for an entry point. So it's pretty simple so far. Once we need them to match. If they don't match, you know, as far as this strategy goes, you just leave it alone. Now the entry point. So we've identified the hourly's got to match the daily. And now what we want to see is a breakout. So the way this strategy works is we want to see price, actually break through. Sorry, I've just got a question. Hi, that's Prakash. So I just got a quick question coming through again. Prakash is just asking me if I could please explain that again. Prakash, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish off explaining this for you. And then what I'll do is go in and we'll do some live examples, okay? So we'll have a look at some live examples so you get to see it over and over again. And I feel like with that repetition, you'll start to understand it a little better. Okay, so when I look at, so I've decided my trend. So I know the daily trend is green, the hourly trend is matching it. Now what I want to do is decide at what point am I going to choose to enter. So all you need to do for your entry is have price go up in this case and touch a green dot. If it touches the green dot, that is your trigger to entry. So it's pretty simple. It's green, green, and then green dot, okay, for your entry on the buy side, okay? And now I'll go through and you'll see here, price goes up. See how it's, the green dot has disappeared because price touched the green dot there and it replaces it with a red dot. Some people use the red dot to say that's where I might put my stop or a couple of pips below as an area. So what we're looking at is saying, I want to see that the daily trend is up, the hourly trend is up, but I also want to see that price is breaking out, okay, in that same direction for your trigger to entry. Now, you can see how it works here. So that's your daily and hourly trends must match, green and green. And then, of course, you've got your price breakout. So price went up and touched the green dot, and that's where you would enter here. All right, pretty straightforward stuff. I'll just show you on the other side. So let's have a look at we'll have a look at the sell side. Sell side, exactly the same, but reverse. So I want to see the daily trend right down the bottom is red. The hourly trend is matching it. It's also red, but this time I want to see price up here. I want to see price go down and touch the red dot, okay? And that is your trigger to entry on the sell side. So that in effect, folks, is quick start. So let's go into the market now and I will, okay, so you can see this now. So can you see the Aussie yen should be up on your screen now, and it should be on an hourly chart, which is what I've been describing for you. Okay, that's great. So everybody's okay and everyone can see that. That's fantastic. So just to run you through it, this is how I might do it. Now, I've got some questions about the specifications. As I mentioned earlier, folks, if you want this set up on your MetaTrader 4, your account manager at ACY will set it up for you. It's a free service. They'll set it up so it looks exactly the same. So you will have all the specifications and you'll have all the indicators and you'll have it all set up exactly like mine. So, and then you can go in and you can have a look at all the specifications yourself. All right, so let's start here at the Aussie yen. So I look at the Aussie yen and I can see right down the bottom, the daily trend is green, but the hourly trend at the moment is red. So to me, that's not a match. Real simple. Right now and potentially over the coming few hours, we just get rid of this Aussie yen and maybe come back and look at it at a later stage, either today or you could look at it tomorrow. But keep in mind when moves happen in the markets, okay, this could change. So it's not to dismiss it completely, but it's certainly one that I'm not going to focus my attention on right now. If I go to the Aussie against the US dollar, and remember, it all just operates on the hourly here. So the Aussie against the US dollar right now, folks, we've got, it's not matching. So we'll leave that one alone. We'll move across to the euro against the pound. So when I move across, say, to the euro against the pound, what we're looking for here is both are matching. So you've got your daily trend and you've got your hourly trend. They're both matching. So in effect today, we were looking at this and having a bias towards looking for a buy setup. So one did happen a few hours ago, and I'll just show that to you now. In fact, there's been a number that's happened today. So this is what we're looking at. I'll just bring that back into perspective. Green, green. They're both matching. All we want to see is price go up and hit the green dot. Pretty straightforward. And as you can see, an hour later, price went up, hit the green dot, and it was replaced by a red dot down the bottom. Now, from there, over the last sort of 4 or 5 hours, price has moved up about 28 pips. It's pulling back at the moment, all right? So that, in effect, matched the setup that you could have seen maybe 3 or 4 hours ago. If we now go across to Euro Yen set up as well, but on the other side. So you can see a few hours ago, price came down, it hit the red dot. At the same time, the hourly trend was down and the daily trend was down as well. So that is an example of a trade that set up earlier today. If we go across to the euro dollar, so this is euro dollar set up this morning about 8 or 9 o'clock Sydney time. Same scenario, we've got daily trend was down and the hourly trend has been down from this level. So price came down, hit the red dot, and yes, during the start of the Asian session, the US was on a bit of a holiday. The market was a bit sideways for a few hours. So it may, depending on the strategy you want to implement on your entry, you may say, okay, well, if it sits there, it's triggered for a few hours, then I could do that. So there you'll see it triggers, and then our hourly's changed, our daily's changed. And from there, today, we've seen already over the last sort of 4 or 5 hours, the euro dollar has sold off about 40 pips. If I go pound yen, okay, very similar scenario. You can start to see the trades that are matching. And from setup, it moved down about 73 pips in about 2 hours. Getting a retracement at the moment, okay? And if we keep moving across, we go pound dollar. Very similar scenario here, pound dollar, that we saw, say, with the euro dollar. And if I keep going across, you start to get an idea of where we're at. So when I'm looking at perhaps this one here, so New Zealand yen, not matching. So today I may have had a bias to just forget it and focus on the ones that were matching, either on the buy or the sell. So I'll just finish off by moving across. Similar scenario, not matching on the New Zealand dollar. However, once we start to move into the US dollar side, we start to see some US dollar strength that's come into the market over the last few days. So especially today, yesterday, a bit of a bank holiday, and then quite a strong move up for today. If we go dollar franc, so dollar franc, this is one that's set up about 3 or 4 hours ago. You'll see it right here. Price went up and touched the green dot as the hourly trend was green and the daily trend was green. And from there, we're looking at a move up so far at about 30 pips in about sort of 4 or 5 hours, okay? Now, what I want to show you too, let's just have a look here and say, as it triggered, so it triggered at this level. Now, remember, it does give you a few hours for you to decide once it's triggered, do I want to enter or not, okay? It's no rule to say you have to trigger as soon as it triggers. That is a decision as a trader that you can make. If you see that it's during an Asian session and the markets are a bit quiet and it's a public holiday, Labor Day over in the US, and it hasn't woken up yet, then you might say, okay, this one's triggered. It hasn't moved too far away from the trigger point, I might enter. That could be a decision that you make. Let me show you sort of where you use the first red dot as your stop. So at the moment, you're looking at this and saying, I'm risking 23 pips, okay? And already I'm up 29 or 30 pips, okay, from this trade. So once you're up what you've risked, okay, you might choose, and this is what I mean about getting in and actually trading and executing a strategy. You might have strategy where you say, okay, once I'm up what I was risking, I'm going to move my stop to break even plus a pip. So now this is a break-even trade I can't lose on, okay? And now you're actually in the focus of trading. Some people choose to say, all right, I'll take partial profits, and now I'm going to choose my, my exit level. And I guess one of the key things I mentioned earlier, one of the key principles, is that it's about risk reward as well. I know our own senior market strategist, Duncan Cooper, is always saying to me, Nathan, this idea of risking 30 pips to make 30 pips, you need to be very accurate all the time, okay, to be successful. Whereas if you're risking 30 pips, but you're targeting 60 pips, then you're in a scenario where you don't have to be right all the time. Or you might target 90 pips. Now, yes, you mightn't reach that target all the time, but if you're getting risk out, you're in a position where you don't have to be right all the time. So therefore, your risk reward becomes essential. And that's why I think this is such a great tool, because it allows people in real time, okay, intraday trading, to make some tweaks, make some changes, and see what effect that's having for you, and what effect it is having for you psychologically, and what effect it's going to have for you as far as your profitability or loss goes. Okay, that is really what this can be so useful for. Now, I do have a couple of questions coming through, which I'll get to in just a second, but I don't want to hold you all night. So to wrap this up, Quick Start is just one of the profiles that have been designed by professional traders, okay, over the years that can be used. So once you sort of master the art of Quick Start and are using that, whether it's in your demo account or live account, up to you, you can then have a look, and you'll see here we've got a whole variety of different profiles, okay? All down here, there's 1 hour momentum trade strategy. There's a thing called a mega trend strategy, price action strategy. There's the pivot point strategy, which is an intraday strategy. And all of these are set up ready for you to go through, as well as a 30-part course. So you've got well over 30 hours from beginner to advanced teaching you each strategy, that you can watch the recordings, or you can join Duncan Cooper 3 nights a week, perhaps 3 mornings a week your time, and live, and you can ask some questions as well. So you will get access to all of those things. And of course, your account manager and myself as a trading mentor, I tend to connect with people via Zoom, and we'll do some trade reviews. So once they've learned a particular strategy, they're executing that, we'll then go through and do some reviews, get some feedback, and perhaps pass on any information that people mightn't be understanding or working out themselves, or just a second pair of eyes can be really useful. And I guess what that provides you is an opportunity to actually learn trading in real time. Whether you choose to do that live or in a demo account is completely up to you. We don't provide any, personal advice here, but one thing I'd say to you is use the demo accounts when you're learning a new strategy to really understand it and feel comfortable, and then you can kind of move on from there. There's no subscription charges or anything like that. All of this has been set up at ACY so that we can deal with clients who are traders, over a longer period of time, okay? Rather than coming in and, not being too confident or not having the basic knowledge, okay? Having people that you can deal with. And that's what Quick Start tonight, folks, is really all about. So that sort of brings us, I guess, to the end of this quick explanation of Quick Start. And what I'd like to do is I'll have a look at a few more charts for you now. But if you've got any questions that you've got at the moment, please fire those through. Outside of that, I might just open up, if you can see my screen, okay, and there is literally a button there that just says register for your live account. So some people aren't 100% sure, but you'll see here, open an account, it's free to do so. There's no obligation to trade, and there's no obligation, of course, to fund your account. But that then gets you access to all the webinar series, all the recordings, to get you access to Quick Start, get you access to all the other more advanced profiles. And of course, it gets you access to account managers like myself, who can take you on that journey as you're starting to learn and starting to do some trading. All right, so let's get back to, and look at this dollar franc. As we're talking, it's really starting to move higher. We're getting some, strong movement in this US dollar at the moment. Let's have a look at the dollar CAD has been moving up. Okay, so question coming through, how do you get access to this profile? Okay, so what I'll do is, if you've got your live account, just send through your live account number. My email is at the front, and your account manager they'll be more than happy to set that up for you. So just send through your account number, because I can see you've got a bunch of the other profiles, and we'll just send you that update. So basically there's an update as more profiles are developed, okay, and taught, okay, they get added to it. So you might have an older version, and this new quick start has been added to that older version. So it's a pretty simple process. You'll literally click on a link and you'll just drop it in your data folder and then shut down your MetaTrader 4, open it up, it'll all be there this time. So feel free to send that through to my email. Just send it through to nathan.bray@acy.com. Now, to wrap it up, is there any other trades that we're looking at right now that potentially could be setting up? So I'm just having a look through now, and we've got dollar yen's not matching. The dollar franc definitely is, and as we showed, it set up a few hours ago. So in effect now, we're looking for a pullback and for it to set up again. So if I show you, yesterday, it actually set up here. So if your trade set up here yesterday and you're still in that trade, remember you can stay in it, then you're in a position where that trade is now up, say 45 pips, your stop is down at this red dot, okay? You might be saying, right, I'll move my stop to break even, and now I know I can't lose, and I'm locking in potentially some profit. However, if we were to go further back and go to the day before, remember it's an hourly chart, we got a setup right here as well, okay? So this setup has moved up, and we're looking at this dollar franc, it's up about 94 pips. So there's nothing to suggest that once you're in a setup that you literally have to get out in a few hours. You could have taken some partial profits, move your stop to break even, and then let the rest sort of ride. And that again is another thing that your account managers will teach you if it's something that you're interested in. And then as we move back, I'm going to have a look at keeping an eye on this euro dollar, to be honest. So right now, this euro dollar I looked at earlier to trade that using a different strategy, okay, that also set up. So you're in a position where as you start to advance your knowledge, you've got to remember that this is a pretty straightforward strategy. It's not taking into account, say, key support or resistance levels. It's not taking into account when the trend could be up, but it could be consolidating or tracking sideways. Okay, so they're things that you can start to learn and then layer on top of this. So you can start to layer the next level on and the next level on. And then from there, you can start to break down your choices, because you might have today 3 or 4 that set up, but you might say, right, but I'm going to, out of those 4, okay, I'm going to narrow it down to these 2 because they may look better, etc., as you gain your knowledge and as you move forward. All right, if we don't have any other questions, folks, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining us here at Quick Start tonight. As I mentioned, Nathan Bray, please send me through any emails that you might have, or we have a couple of questions. Yes, okay, so similar question, folks. Once you've registered your live account, as I mentioned, your account manager will set that up for you. So they will spend some time with you and make sure that your MetaTrader 4 is set up and looking exactly the same way mine does. And you can remember, you can use multiple MetaTraders as well. But at this stage, folks, I'd like to thank you all for joining us. And of course, thank you for joining us here at Quick Start. And for those of you interested, I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.